Tonight, severe weather threats from coast to coast. A dangerous downpour in the Northeast, neighborhoods underwater, millions under alert. Out west, crews battle against a fast-moving wildfire erupting in California. And Hurricane Kiko, now to Category 3, swirls closer to Hawaii. We're tracking it all. Protests in several major cities, including Chicago, as the city prepares for an immigration crackdown and the president makes a new threat. And South Korea responds after nearly 500 people were arrested in an immigration raid at a Hyundai facility. Growing tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela, the military pressure and the hardline tactics. The White House facing new questions about whether it is seeking regime change. Israel's military stepping up attacks in Gaza City and the missile strike that took down this apartment building. The massive crowds in Milan to honor legendary fashion designer Giorgio Armani. The viral video of this confrontation over a home run ball and how this young boy did not go home empty-handed. What's old is cool again. How the American classic motel is making a comeback as it turns 100. And there's good news tonight about this woman's birthday surprise of a lifetime.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. We begin tonight with millions of Americans under a severe weather threat. This was the scene in New York today. As damaging thunderstorms roll through as part of a line stretching from Maryland to Maine. A sudden storm catching fans at the U.S. Open off guard, sending spectators running for cover. The heavy rains causing serious flooding. This neighborhood in Massachusetts completely underwater. Out west, the threat is from wildfire. This wall of flames is part of the pyrite fire burning in California east of Los Angeles and forcing evacuations there. You can see the flames and massive clouds of smoke right there, already burning more than 400 acres as crews race to contain it. Steve Patterson is covering it all and starts us off tonight.
Tonight, pounding rain and howling winds laying siege to parts of the eastern seaboard, causing power outages and downed trees. In Massachusetts, this street completely underwater. 33 million Americans from New England to Baltimore caught up in scattered thunderstorms, spawning 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts with bouts of hail and heavy rain. The brief deluge in New York causing tennis fans outside the U.S. Open to run for cover. Out west, hundreds of firefighters back on the front lines. Overnight, the fast-moving pyrite fire sparked evacuations in California's Europa Valley, about 60 miles east of Los Angeles. The fire, driven by high winds and heavy vegetation, swept over more than 400 acres before crews were able to contain the spread. Firefighters dousing the flames from above, while below, sheriff deputies going door to door.
For your safety, evacuate the area now.
California's now year-long fire season, so far scorching more than 425,000 acres this year. Right now, a series of more than 20 fires in Northern California still burning after the region was blasted by more than 10,000 lightning strikes earlier this week.
It's gone. This is what you have. I just don't have the words for it.
Meanwhile, Hawaii bracing for the impacts of the newly looming Hurricane Kiko, a Category 3 currently crawling toward the islands.
Of course, we hope for the best, but the worst thing is to not be prepared and have regrets after.
The acting governor declaring a state of emergency with possible tropical storm force winds, heavy rainfall, and high surf as early as Monday.
Still got to go get oil, gas, propane, toilet papers. We've been through this before, so just making sure that everybody's safe.
Steve Patterson joins us from Los Angeles. Steve, could that hurricane make landfall in Hawaii?
Jose, thankfully, the current modeling has Kiko sweeping north and, as of now, missing the islands. But authorities warn rain and wind could still be significant. Jose?
Steve Patterson in Los Angeles, thank you. Turning now to politics and the threat of President Trump's immigration crackdown on cities across the U.S. In Chicago, protests on the streets as demonstrators demand the Trump administration keep federal agents out of the city. Adrian Broaddus reports.
Tonight, defiance on display across the country, protesting President Trump's plans to send the National Guard and immigration agents into Democratic-run cities. On Chicago's South Side, a parade in honor of Mexican Independence Day lined with volunteers ready to sound the alarm at any sign of federal agents from ICE.
3 whistles consecutively means that there is ICE sighting. 1 continuous whistle, long whistle, means that someone is getting arrested.
Do you think you'll have to use it?
No, I have not had to use it, and I hope we don't.
The community now on alert following President Trump's threats to send federal forces into the country's 3rd largest city.
Chicago is a hellhole right now. We're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in.
The president citing crime as his rationale, and today posting, quote, Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. But data from the Chicago Police Department shows crime is down 15% over the past 2 years. Murder and robbery down more than 35%.
Truthfully, I think he barks more than he bites. I think he likes making threats. I think he likes to put fear in people's hearts and minds.
And fear didn't stop protesters today at the North Chicago Naval Base, which the Department of Homeland Security is expected to use for its anticipated month-long immigration operation.
I think it's really important to just speak up for those who are scared or in fear. We're not even in peace anymore. We're in fear of getting families ripped apart.
Adrian joins us from a protest in Chicago underway right now. Adrian, what's the message from these demonstrators?
Jose, hundreds of protesters have gathered behind me, sending a strong message to the Trump administration to stay away. They're determined and fired up. One woman saying this is her 2nd protest this week. Jose?
Adrian Broadus, thank you very much. Now to the growing fallout from that immigration raid on a Hyundai factory or plant in Georgia. South Korea's president now vowing an all-out effort to help hundreds of its citizens who were detained in that operation. Yamiche Alcindor reports.
Homeland Security, we have a search warrant for the whole site.
Tonight, growing fallout over the massive immigration raid at a Hyundai facility near Savannah, Georgia. South Korea's foreign minister responding to the raid, saying he was deeply concerned by the operation. South Korea ordering all-out efforts to respond to the arrest, including preparing to dispatch diplomats to the Georgia facility and to Washington. DHS officials saying they arrested 475 workers, mostly South Korean nationals, the largest single-site enforcement operation in Homeland Security history.
We are sending a clear and unequivocal message that those who exploit our workforce, undermine our economy, and violate federal laws will be held accountable.
President Trump backing the raid.
We want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. But we had a lot of illegal aliens working there, so, look, they're doing their job.
And experts warning the raid could increase tensions between Seoul and Washington after South Korea pledged some $500 billion in U.S. investments.
This is going to have an impact on U.S.-Korean economic relations. And the question is this a major setback, or is this something that both sides can work through professionally?
Hyundai saying none of those detained were directly employed by the company and vowing to conduct its own investigation, adding it has zero tolerance for those who don't follow the law. And tech giant LG, which is based in South Korea and had 47 of its employees detained, announced it's suspending business trips to the U.S. Jose?
Yamiche Alcindor at the White House, thank you. On Meet the Press tomorrow, Kristen Welker has exclusive interviews with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Maryland Governor Wes Moore, and New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. That's tomorrow morning, right here on NBC. The U.S. is escalating its feud with Venezuela by targeting alleged drug traffickers very near the country. Now, President Trump is facing new questions about whether he wants to overthrow the Venezuelan regime. Gabe Gutierrez reports.
After blowing up this boat in the southern Caribbean, tonight the White House is turning up the heat on Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro, though President Trump denies he wants regime change.
Well, we're not talking about that, but we are talking about the fact that you had an election which was a very strange election.
The U.S. has repeatedly accused Maduro of rigging his country's elections. Now, with Venezuela hardline critic Marco Rubio taking a more prominent role as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, The White House is labeling Maduro a narco-terrorist, though he's denied it. And it's doubling the reward for information leading to his arrest to $50 million.
Billions of dollars of drugs are pouring into our country from Venezuela.
By deploying more military firepower, included guided missile destroyers near Venezuela, the U.S. is aiming not just to stem the flow of illegal drugs, but according to a source familiar with the Trump administration's thinking, it's also trying to ramp up pressure on Maduro and eventually force him out without American boots on the ground by turning cartel bosses against him.
Maduro's supporters started gathering here around mid-morning.
We were in Caracas back in 2019 when mass protests erupted amid rampant hyperinflation and blackouts. At the time, President Trump backed an opposition leader, but Maduro held on to power. Now, Maduro is urging the U.S. to abandon what he sees as plans to overthrow his government, and he's accusing Rubio of running the White House.
The President of the United States is going to wage war on narco-terrorist organizations.
According to two people familiar with the talks, members of the Venezuelan opposition movement were at the State Department last month for meetings with top officials. Jose?
Gabe Gutierrez in Washington, thank you. And now to the Middle East. Israel's military issuing new evacuation orders for Gaza City. And new video shows an IDF missile strike destroying a high-rise building in a densely populated area. Israel says Hamas was using the building. The company that managed that building denies the claim. In Milan today, a huge turnout for the public wake for international fashion legend Giorgio Armani. Keir Simmons is covering it all for us. Keir.
Jose, good evening. There were long lines here in Milan to pay last respects to Giorgio Armani today. Members of the public waiting patiently to see his casket in a room more familiar for his fashion shows. Donatella Versace brought a bouquet of white flowers. The fashion designer died this week, aged 91, after transforming the fashion industry with his timeless style and building a multi-billion-dollar business. His funeral will be held on Monday, and it will be a private affair, despite his deep connections to Hollywood. Jose?
Keir Simmons, thank you so much. We're back now with a champion at the U.S. Open, Aryna Sabalenka of Belarus, taking the top prize in women's singles for the second year in a row, defeating Amanda Anisimova. We're back in a moment with the revival of an American classic, how the humble motel is making a big comeback as they celebrate 100 years. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the motel. Morgan Chesky reports on how motels are thriving.
On all but superhighways, Free Enterprise has set up shop.
It's a veritable slice of Americana, found just off the freeway. The humble motel, a shorthand for motor hotel, is celebrating a century in its native USA.
The first time you laid eyes on this place, we'd be walking in what?
In a parking lot.
2 hours north of Los Angeles, owner Kimberly Walker restored the Skyview Motel, built in the 1950s.
Is it too much of a stretch to say that motels are cool again?
I think motels are cool again, but maybe in a different way that they were before.
Their origin story began right here in Central California when the Motel Inn opened up back in 1925. Enter Route 66, and the motel boom began. Roadside lodging offering weary travelers the perfect place to get a little shut-eye.
While the motels of yesteryear focused solely on convenience, today that's changing, with motels nationwide shifting to meet the demands of the modern traveler.
A lot of people rediscovered the motel during the pandemic. The motel gave them a way to simply drive up, go right into their room. Many motels are now part of the 21st century. They have nicer amenities, and yet they're still reasonably affordable.
And showing up in style, hoping to rewrite recent history and reputation. Not helping some pop culture portrayals.
There's a leak in the ceiling. There's a brown, disgusting drip coming.
According to one estimate, there were more than 60,000 motels in the U.S. in the 1960s. By 2012, that number had dropped to a mere 16,000. But with Skyview, Walker saw a story worth saving and invested millions in a facelift.
When we're renovating a property, we look at the features that we think are telling the history.
Preserving a little mid-century magic for the future.
What do you think has given motels this staying power?
It's part of the American dream, being able to pull up and stay the night and feel something different. I hope that doesn't go away.
Checking in to an American classic for the next wave of travel. Morgan Chesky, NBC News, Los Alamos, California.
When we come back, there's good news tonight about the transformation of this little girl's hospital room that will put a smile on her face. There's good news tonight. So often the good news doesn't get as much attention as the bad. So every Saturday we highlight the many people who spread joy and love. And these are just some of those stories this week. Happy birthday to you. This is a birthday we'd all be lucky to have. That's retired teacher Lou Scott getting the surprise of a lifetime for her 100th birthday in Loveland, Ohio.
I'm in shock. I can't imagine that all these lovely people are here.
Lou was a teacher for decades at nearby Milford Middle School.
Goodness.
So, for her birthday, high school students hoping to become teachers showed up to thank her for inspiring them.
The main reason I want to be a teacher is to bring other people joy, especially how Miss Scott over there did.
Celebrating a long life and putting a stamp on the next generation.
I'm having a wonderful time, and life is good.
Now this will put a smile on your face. That's 7-year-old Hazel at the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital in Hollywood, Florida. Hazel has been here to treat a progressive neuromuscular condition.
So cute.
But on this day, it's all about fun and the circus. This party was put on by the nonprofit Deck My Room, which transforms pediatric hospital rooms into happy, comforting places for kids. And get this, Hazel's celebration was the 1,000th one they did here. And they're just getting started.
You're Kale, come here. You don't know how special you are to me.
And this hug brought two strangers together for a bond they will share forever.
One more hug.
That's 10-year-old Cal Blank and May Pratzel in Frontenac, Missouri, meeting for the first time thanks to a huge act of kindness. Cal is colorblind and really good at finding shiny things like pennies, nickels, and especially quarters. But when his dad brought him to Costco,
I was like, why is it so heavy?
He found a wedding ring in the parking lot and showed it to his mom, Kelly. So, Kelly, when you saw what he had in his hand, it was indeed heavy. It was also kind of unusual.
I did tear up a little bit out of happiness. I just knew whenever that person got the call, just how happy they would be.
They called Costco and found out it belonged to May, who was heartbroken after losing it nearly 50 years into her marriage. But then, Cal didn't just return it, he spruced it up with a new polish, a new box, and this letter.
I kind of wanted to keep it because it was pretty and shiny. I hope you relax now that you have your ring back. That is exactly right. I did. Thanks to you.
Proof that looking down can lift others up. This wasn't just some ring. This was kind of an important part of your entire life.
I could not believe it. Any other 10-year-old might have said, oh, I'll stick it in a box or in my pocket, or I'm not even going to pick it up. We were beyond lucky.
That's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. The great Hallie Jackson will be here tomorrow night. I'm Jose Diaz-Balart. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and good night.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.